Welcome back, folks. Another week here in 67 to 72, where I work on 67 to 72s. The reason I'm chuckling is because I'm mad. This is me mad. I try to laugh it off. 3 days of my videos lost, corrupted. So you missed a bunch of stuff. Let me walk you back through it, and then we're going to get back going over here. I got a ton of stuff to show you all in a short period of time. My main focus is working on the grill and the bed project. Not going to sidetrack anything else. Sure, I got to cut wood and feed cows and all that, but that doesn't matter. So here we have the grill. I'm going to grab gloves while I'm talking, but this is the grill surround. I can't show you the dents in it because I lost all that video footage, so you're just going to have to bear with me. I can't find any other pictures of that. I never focused on the damage, but this is where the tree fell on it. We've talked about it before. The tree dented this grill, the hood, and a little tiny ding on the roof. Today we're focused on the grill surround. I'm gonna grab my gloves. I'm gonna keep right on going though. So most of the damage was up in this area above the headlight. It's got, I counted them, 10 folds in the metal. Maybe 9, depending on how you look at it. Well, every time you bend a piece of metal, you make it stronger. You also work harden it when you go back and forth with it. You can only fold a piece of metal so many times, you know this, and it'll break. There's ways to mitigate that, like heating it, stuff like that. But that metal still can't be bent indefinitely. That's going to be where I'm at here in a minute. So the damage that is on this came from the front. I might as well show it to you, then we'll talk about the setup. You're not going to see much, but the damage was right here where the tree hit. It bent all this in, caved in, and it pinched this top because it hit the top and forward. So this point that comes out was smashed flat. Again, sorry I can't show you that. But that's what we're going to focus on, trying to get that dented back out and get it into the original shape, which is where we're at now. Anyhow, this is my suggestion. I have fought with these before. You got this garbage going on. So what I do is set up a good table. I'm using sawhorses just because it's a little loud. They don't move or roll around on you. Some of my other tables have casters on a lot of them because I like to move them around. Need something that's going to sit still for you so you're not fighting your table while you're fighting this grill surround. I also put cardboard on it just to keep from adding more scratches to the front of the surround. Being that I put OSB on this, the cardboard's going to slide around on you. It's going to frustrate you. So if you do a little prep work for yourself, you're going to be a lot happier. I did that by taping the corners around the OSB for the cardboard. So now everything's pretty much, I mean, I'm not joking, it's there. So I'm leaning, I ain't moving. The next thing to deal with is this. The only thing I can come up with is sandbags. If you don't have them, get an old pillowcase, something with a tight net fabric, and fill it with whatever sand you got. I would say purchase a bag of sand. It's pretty cheap. And then it looks like somebody hand sewed these. They're quite old. I believe these came from my grandpa as well, and maybe grandma sewed them up. I don't know, but thank you for these, grandpa. Put these, you can already see what's happening. That's what they're for. It's going to hold this from fighting you back and forth. Gives you a little resistance, but you can still move it while you're hammering. So let's get to hammering. I did want to bring you in for some tools, just basic tools I use. If you don't have these, they're relatively inexpensive. All they do is help you when you fold something. I should have had something to show you. When you're going to fold something, you're not just, well, like these. Here's a pair of locking pliers. These are square nose. You can't find those every day. If you see a pair, I love having them because the round nose, when you go bending on something, it leaves the rounded nose on it. Where the square, you can mitigate that. Sure, it'll leave corners a little, but at least you're bending flat. And all this does is give you a wider flat area to work down. Handy pair of pliers. Get you a couple of punches, preferably round one off. I do have a spare, I think this size. These sharp edges on a punch, when you go tapping on that aluminum or metal, whatever you're working on, it's very easy to make a crescent moon because of that sharp edge. So I'm going to take my spare punch and just round the nose off so you can tap on little spots. They're very handy, a couple of sizes. You also want some chisels. preferably dull, which in my shop, it seems like they're always dull. So I didn't have a problem with that. But you don't want them sharp because you're going to be hammering in those pinch points and you don't want to split or cut through. So a dull end is going to be nicer on the metal. So I covered that. Of course, body hammer. Something you notice here that we're going to use on mine, you may not have these. What a great tool. It's an adjustable pry bar. And I say it's important to have adjustable for body work because sometimes you get in a spot, you want to pry on something and you don't have room. So you can adjust this forward and it gives you more twist, and you can adjust it forward again. So these are quite handy. Definitely going to show you some use of that today. Let's get over to the grill surround. So what we're looking at is a spot right in here. Without flipping this 10 times and confusing you, the metal has several bends from the headlight, the little groove around it, the faceplate. They just keep bending this metal. And it wasn't just for show. It wasn't just to make some fun angles. Remember, every time you put a fold in something or a bend in metal, I don't know, there's a lot of names for them, but that gives it strength, a lot of strength, which fights me now, but it makes this aluminum grill a lot stronger. The point and problem I'm having is up inside of here. That area, I cannot get a hammer, which is right here. I can't get my hammer to swing up into that. See, I'm limited down here. I can get a little bit of the face and I can get this flat spot a little, but you can see my handles hitting here. That's where you're going to want to change hammers and get you a punch or something. So now you can get on that face, excuse me, you can get on this face part right here and you can just tap, 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 move that forward. But the problem is up inside of there. I got that metal has been pinched right together and I need to hammer it that way. And I can't get my hammer in there. And part of it is up. Like I would have to hammer from down here in there. My point being, sometimes you got to think outside the box. And this is a little confusing. It is not intuitive. So bear with me. I want to hammer up here in this spot. Well, I can put a pry bar in there and I can pry that metal out, but you got to be careful because now you're prying around your headlight surround. So I just grabbed another hunk of steel, something heavy, and I bridged the spot from this metal down inside of this other part. Now I've spread out the pressure along a bigger surface. We're still not going to pry hard. We just want to put some pressure on this handle right here in this direction. When I say pressure, just enough to maybe lift this corner. Can you see how I'm kind of bending the metal a little bit? It's kind of putting some lift. Not a lot of force, but you need some. Now, believe it or not, you're trying to bend the metal in this direction, and you're going to hammer in this direction. You think it won't work, but with the pressure on my handle up here in this direction, it's putting pressure out on that. Tap lightly, firm pressure on this handle. I've already got it done, so I can't do it. I don't want to hammer it all, but you're just going to tap on the outside. And as you tap on that, you'll feel your hand moving slightly. It will actually lift that metal just by massaging the outside and putting pressure on this. You might have to move it, quarter inch each way. Just keep moving it so you don't end up with this tip bending the metal. But believe it or not, tapping on the outside will move it in that direction, given this type of scenario. Very difficult place to get to. Super frustrating for people. There's one little trick for you. Let me flip it over and show you where I'm at this point. Other than just frustrated. I can't show you. It's gone. Whatever. All right. Here's the good side. Well, the better side. See if I get you still in frame. Yes, this is the area I've been working on. And as you see, I've got my shape back. A couple little dings in it. I know you can see those, but I'll explain that. So we had the face of this headlight surround had a couple dents in it. And then we had a crease right in here because this is where it got hit by that tree. This hole, all these folds were mashed in down and that way, which caused the brace to put a huge dent right out here. I didn't think I'd get that out at all. It was, I mean, it was as big as your pinky sticking out there, but it didn't break the metal. So I had some hope. I'll tell you how I did that in a minute. So as you're hammering on this, you want your dolly underneath, because when you hammer a dent down, you're going to create two, a dent is like a point. If you hammer on the point, you're pushing that metal out, you see? So you're going to have reverse dents, if you will. So you put your dolly on there and it kind of gives a little backer for that metal, and just tap on it, just real light, keep massaging it. It should move fairly easy. If you get into one of these bends, which I have, one here I'm working on, one there, there's actually one down in there. There's another line across here, then the following inside line to the surround, the point to the surround, and then bound on the other side. It just keeps going. Work each one inside hammering until you kind of get the shape going. If you're hammering on a dent and it just doesn't want to work, hammering harder is not the answer. Leave that spot alone and go somewhere else. Start working on some other dents up in this area, because the tension from these other dents might be holding that one from moving in your manipulation. So just move up here, work on these a few times, maybe work backwards again, or come back here and start over. Just keep working over and back. Eventually, all your outside dents are going to be leveled off and they're going to be inside dents. Flip the surround back over, do the same thing. Hammer all them pokies back down. And you're going to have to flip this, I didn't count, 19, 27, 192,000 times. I don't know. It felt like that many. But I got it pretty close, but now all the metal's getting rigid. I have flexed it in and out so many times it's work hardened. I could reheat it and try and soften it, but there's only so many times you can bend this, and I'm going to get a crack or a split on one of these, and that's the last thing you want. Then you got to get it welded and start this all over. But you can manipulate this quite a bit, and I'm very happy with this. When I got to this point, again, you can't see it, but you can kind of see the discolorations. And that's because when I had it worked where I thought it was good, and you can't see, get you some 600 or 800 sandpaper. You're not going to hurt anything. And just kind of sand this over, knocking down any nibs or bumps or chips that you may have left. I got a couple dents in there I don't like, but you can't sand forever, but it'll tolerate quite a bit. You're just knocking down all that bumpy stuff. I'm going to have some marks in it. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be way better than it was. The next thing I worked on was the paint scheme, and there's been a little confusion with that, so let me cover that real quick. Well, before I do, because I don't want to move you twice. Part of the paint scheme is I need to repaint this black. The way it came from factory. This whole headlight surround was painted black. Now, the paint wore off really quickly because GM did not prep it first. They took it right out of the stamping, they sprayed it, and put it on, and down the road it goes. The old timers, I only know one anymore, told me that paint only stayed on for a couple years. You can rarely find one with any paint. I have a 71 that has a little bit of paint left on it, just enough to prove it was there. What I want to do is take this is 600, take this 600 and I just scratch all this area on the surround. We're doing prep work, putting some bite into that metal, sanding that all the way around so I can put a good primer on it. I'm going to try self-etching. I'm going to look into it and see if you can use self-etching on aluminum. I don't know off the top of my head, but I'll check into that. Either way, I'm going to prime this down good and then paint this on both sides. So good idea to kind of scrub it up a little bit, give it something to bite onto. I want that paint to stay better than original. So the confusion was how these were painted from 71 to 72. Let me get you back and show you. Back in the day, GM, a lot of companies, but GM used to put out something new every year. A new grill, a new hood, something so people knew when they bought a new truck that everybody knew you had the latest and greatest because you had the new egg crate front end grill. Well, that came out in 71. So What they did in 71, they went from the old grill to an egg crate style. You've seen that. And this particular surround in 71, they painted this top surface right here. Now this, I don't know if you can tell, but this is just a point. And they painted this to the top surface all around these sides and underneath on this bottom part. Just the 1 inch angle here around the entire thing. And they painted the headlights around the headlight bezel on both sides. That paint wore off really quick, a couple of years. I have a 71 grill over here, and there's a little paint left down under here. It didn't get washed much. It didn't get as much abuse. I don't care for all that extra paint. I like more shiny aluminum. So I'm not going to repaint my 71. I like it with the 72 style. Because in 72, they didn't make any other grill changes. All they did was not paint this. They eliminated that extra paint and they just painted the headlights around. So I hope I made that more clear this time. I didn't touch on it much last time. So there's our front. We got that front work down pretty darn decent. At this point, I'm going to start polishing. Not today, but maybe tomorrow. I'm happy with it. Again, it's in the right shape. It's not going to be perfect. I'm not going for perfect. I just didn't like it all bent up. The other thing I've been working on is the box project. I'll run you over there real quick and show you that. Again, you have to bear with me. I'm covering a whole week's worth of work. Last time you've seen this, the bed was just the bed. The wheel wells weren't on yet. These are awesome. They went on great. I did a lot of touch up. I did a little bit of body filler on some of the really harsh dents in the bed. I went around and touched up anything that was poking out. You don't want that. If anything, you want dents down because you're going to put on the bed liner. Will cover some, not all of it. So I've got these loosely bolted down so that when we put the box sides and everything on, we can still manipulate it because it'll be out of square, all over the place. So don't tighten your bolts down. You'll have to go back and loosen them. So all that sanding and all that grinding and that welding over there, you don't need to see it anyway. It's done. This is all the primer I'm going to put on it for now. Some self-etching on the metal, some sealer on the filler parts. The bed liner gives you this, I call them 3M pads. Some guys call them Scotch Brite. These were brown. I don't know. I'm used to the green or I'm not good with colors. Red, I think. The brown is what they want for a surface finish. So I'm going to do what they want. And I have rubbed it around even this that was brand new and had never been painted. I still got to scuff up some more, but nothing. I just have to get it done. I haven't got to it. That's all. So I need to scrub all this down a little better. The primer I'm going to just hit again real quick because we're going to talk about bed liner for 2 seconds. That is our end result with this, is to have this with a roll-on bed liner. So what I need to do, the next step in prep, is I want this all black because we're putting in black bed liner. I'm going to tell you sternly, convincingly, the best way I can tell you. Whatever color you want to put in your bed liner, you need to have the bed colored first. I made that mistake once, never again. That bed liner doesn't cover the way you think it does. I ended up putting 2 full bed liner kits in my Spanish gold, and there's still some places you can kind of see through the old primer. Not happy. Nobody else has noticed it yet. It's pretty faint. My suggestion, and the rest of my life, I will never do a bed liner that isn't already the right color. So we got a lot of gray here, a little bit of green here. It needs to be black. So I've ordered some black. I don't use a lot of black primer. Some black primer. I'm going to scuff this one more time with this. I'm going to black primer everything. Then it'll be ready for roll-in bed liner. At that point, we got the bed prepped. I can start assembling the sidewalls and everything on this. That's super cool, which means those all have to be scratched and prepped too before bed liner. That's fine. That'll be down the road. This is ready to be assembled. So that's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to that. and mitigating some rust. We'll do that as we go. So there's what you missed on the bed. I didn't really set everything up real nice to show you, but this is a project I've been working on for 10 years. Bought a sander, always like to have a sander. It's just been put on benches and under the shelf. Same thing here, a 1-inch belt sander. So I've got that mounted to this roll around. It's just work with what you got. That's kind of my theme this week. I had this base given to me from a neighbor. Cool. Got casters on it now. I redid the bottom, put some rubber down there. I want a shelf in this area for all my belts and different stuff. I'll get to that later. But it wasn't high enough. And that's another thing I'm dealing with this week. So I just took some scrap wood I had around the shop, screwed it all together, painted black. I'm good enough. It's good with me. It'll be fine. I screwed them down so they're not moving. This is handy because you can wheel it right over to your project. You can grind on a piece. Grind on a piece, test it on your grip project. Come over here, grind on a little piece, test it on your project. Wheel this in whatever direction you want to make that easier than every time you turn would have been a trip 18, 20 feet across the shop and back 6, 8 times. So having this roll around and be handy is handy. The buffer. That was the project I showed you about how to weld, unless we lost that too. I don't know. If we lost that, I'll get it back out and tag it on the end of the video. I think you've seen it. Maybe you didn't. How to weld 2 pieces of pipe together is way easier than I ever thought. Once the old guy taught me, I'm like, this is so simple. I wish I'd have known this years ago. Pipe, it's really hard to get it to lay on your shelf. On your welding table, it'll want to roll. So you'll get them out of alignment, or you'll have them out of alignment this way. You know, there's just so much can go wrong. There's an easy way to do it. I'll show you at the end if I haven't yet. So I extended this one 6 inches. So now when I'm buffing, I'm standing right here, I can see what I'm doing, rather than 6 inches lower. Not comfortable. High speed grinding, same way. This is for like blades and chisels, stuff like that. You can stand right here and you can see what you're doing. So I like that was my old stand. I bought a new stand for the grinder. This was the old stand I redid. So I bought that new stand. That's handy. That's it for what's going on with me. This is going to be the buffing we're going to use, and a hand buffer too, because that piece is just so awkward. It's hard to hold up here. One more thing. It doesn't look like much, but I've been 15 years trying to do this. My compressor was always out here in the way. Hoses, I had to loop them up every time. Tired of it. So I finally went and got all the fittings. I've had this retractable hose for like, I'm not joking you, that's probably 30 years old. Never been used. I finally got it hooked up. It works great. Spare hose hanging on a hook. Under here, I have a controller, which is a moisture remover and a oiler, and I can control the pressure up there. Super handy. And then this has always been in my way. Look at that. You know, you put it on the table and it's just, what a pain. So all I did was cut a piece of pipe. I don't know if you can see it, but just cut a piece of pipe. Drill a hole in it, put it right on the wall. And then you just slip this in the pipe. Super handy. Didn't cost nothing, and it's out of the way. So that's it for shop stuff. So here's where we're going to end up on this clip. I got to go find my polishing wheel. Actually, I just found it, but I've got some polish I need to get around, get my hoses out. When I get back to getting all this ready for polish, I'll show you how I polish. We'll see how good this turns out. So that's it for right now. I'll be right back with you in 2 seconds. Okay, folks, I'm about done here. I've had it. I got 3 hours into this. And what I'm noticing is it's getting work hardened. I have to tap a lot harder on it to get it to move now. I could go back, reheat it, kind of anneal it and soften it a touch, but I think I've worked this metal plenty. It's going to have to be good enough. It's a far cry better than it was, and that's pretty much the name of the game. I took this huge dent out here, but I got a couple hammer marks in there that I didn't get out. It's as good as it's going to get. We still have a low spot here, here, a high spot right here, or you could say a low on each side. This area here isn't perfect, but we're going to paint all that, remember? So what you do after you get done hammering on this and you get it as good as you think you can, reach out and grab you some 400 or 600 I prefer, but I didn't have any. And you basically just go over this. It'll kind of hit your high spots and low spots. Will show up more. If you want to fine tune after this, you can. But again, I think I better quit. Sand in here a little bit. Your metal's pretty thick. You're probably not going to sand through. Of course, I say that. There'll be somebody that does. But just with a 400 or 600, you're not taking a lot of metal off. You're just taking those high scratchy edges out of it. There's a couple scratches here that I could sand out a little bit. But my main concern now is getting ready to paint this inside light area. Well, in an attempt to keep the paint on there longer so it doesn't wear off, rather than paint it while it's shiny, I'm going to go over this whole thing with this 400. And hopefully those little tiny scratches are going to give it something to bite onto and really hold my primer and paint better. My plan here is I'm going to use self-etching primer. I don't know if it really even works on aluminum, but I'm going to do it anyway. And then I'm going to use a black primer over that just to kind of get everything smoothed out, hooked together. Then I'll paint this black, but not till after I polish all this. The whole ring I'm going to polish a little. Now, you can make this look like chrome, and that's not what I'm going for. But right now, I'm not done sanding yet. I've had enough sanding, to be honest with you, but I know this is going to help the paint stick, so I'm going to spend a little time with that. I'll bring it back for polish, and we'll just see how good this looks in the end. I mean, it's not bad. I'll be satisfied with it, even though it's not perfect. That's all I got to say. I'll bring it back for polishing once I get all my polished stuff out. I tightened up these pop rivets and just basically hit them a couple times. And I'll bring it back for polishing. We'll talk about that some more. Moving on to polish. I've got two polishes here. This is my fine polish. I use this on rarely. If I was going to polish up my ring or something, I would use this to really give it a good shine. A small part might be inside the cab or something. Don't use it very often. This is, I don't know what color it is. It says green. I don't remember. I'm not a color guy. I don't remember colors ever. I finally remembered I got a green chalk, gold chalk, but I just remember the names, not the color. And here, that's another story. And then I have the black, which is basically a hard metal compound for like steels, not generally used on aluminum. But when aluminum oxidizes over years like this, it gets a really hard layer on that outside. So I use the black. I'll go back to that in a second. The black, it works for me. I want you to realize this isn't going to look that great for a while. I've just done a real light polish, like literally 5 minutes, just kind of give you guys a feel for the different steps of polish and what it's going to take to do what you want to do, or in this case, what I want to do. So I've got this straightened out to its basic form. The more I look at it, the more dents and dings that are in it that I'm not going to get out. I'm just not that good at it, and I don't think there's enough access for it. I just think this is a horrible spot. The rest of it should be pretty easy wherever you have dents, I believe. There might be some difficulties in here, but again, you have really good access to the back. This top fold, whatever you want to call it, these top few bends, all the way across would be the most difficult to get to because of all that metal behind it. So if you got upper damage and you can do better than me, which should be easy to do, good for you. I've never been trained. I suck at this. I've just trial and error. So I'm always looking for tips if somebody knows something better, but I'm a filler guy. I wish I could just put a little filler in on that, but you can't. You should have gloves on. This stuff will just blacken your hands. Between the polish and the aluminum, when you take it off, it's always black and dusty. So let's go to again, it looks kind of shiny to you on camera because I hit it once. That's the look I'm going for. But there's some too shiny spots, if there's such a thing. I want a little duller finish. Let's just talk about aluminum oxide. When aluminum oxidizes, it becomes a layer of aluminum oxide. At least I think that's how this works. They use aluminum oxide in grinding discs. Super hard, very durable. In this particular case, you're going to have to fight that super hard him and me and fighting and stuff all the time. That super hard durable coating that is naturally on here from oxidation. Well, when you sand on this, I generally use 400, 600. You should go 8,000. Some places even say go 2,000. Yeah, I don't like sanding that much, and I really don't like polishing. If you don't like sanding, you're gonna hate polishing because it's about the same but slower. Uh, I haven't touched this yet with a polish. This is just raw through here. I haven't done a thing, and the rest of it, I just kind of knocked the, I don't know, grime off it. So if you can tell, and I'm moving around, this was just a light polish. This is all the same light polish around here, but this was untouched by me or anybody in the last 10 years. Hasn't been sanded on, hasn't been rubbed on, polished, none of that. Just hand washed. You start getting down into this area, and this is where I've manipulated the metal. And there's some really nice and some really ugly, all mixed together right here. Let me get a little. I want to show you a couple two shiny spots. You see, it looks decent to you, but you can still see that this is painted. This area right in here where it's dull. I want to get you in a little closer here in a second. Try and get those shines where you can see them. So let me move you into the ugly area, and we'll polish this together real quick. I got my compressor turned off. That's what I use. I'm sorry. I use a angle grinder, whatever you want to call them, and it's an air tool with a polishing. It's just a white fiber pad. It's really fine. And then you can use the side of it, you can use the bottom of it. It starts off with a pretty nice corner, but with all the corners we got, you wear them out. I probably need to buy more, but they just spin right on. It's a, what do they call them? Lock, something lock. But that's noisy. So I got my compressor charged up but turned off. We'll get as much done as we can. Let me get you in there. So what I wanted to show you zooming in, I know I have a low spot right here and right here, and you can kind of see the high spots. They're a little shinier, a little duller. The really shiny spot, even though I haven't polished anything, those really shiny spots to you are just that I sanded through that oxide layer and I've got down to just the raw aluminum. Now it'll oxidize again almost instantly. A slight thin layer. It's been overnight. If I try to sand this again today, it will sand harder than it did when I left yesterday. It's just how it works. But I'm not going to get those out. Through all the pounding I've done, this is as good as I'm going to do it. Disappointed in me or not, this is what you get. Um, I don't know what to say other than let's do some polishing. My thought and theory is, and again, I don't remember how far I got you, is to try and blend these shines together. And if I can, and I got something too shiny here, I might use my 400 sandpaper again and sand out to a corner, because your eye just naturally knows, your brain from just life, that you're going to have a different reflection in these corners. And your brain just kind of ignores that kind of stuff. We won't get into how the brain works because I know less about that than probably anything else I'm talking about. But I've found that if you blend them out in the corners, that you don't notice them like on a flat spot here. We don't have a lot of options, but let's just do a little buffing. I always put on a glove because air tools get cold, especially in the winter. Might have to turn your TV down. I can't do much else. We're gonna hit this spot I corrected here and see how good we can get that real quick. Get me a little. Just want to just dab this every so often. Less is better, more often. Just dab on it a couple times, do some polish and dab again. Don't just haul onto it and think you're going to load this up. That's not how it works. You'll just waste a lot of polish. Then I don't know how much it costs. I haven't bought it in a while. Here we go. All right, I'm already running low on air. That uses a lot. Did that make a difference you can see? Oh yeah, it definitely did. So I've cleaned this spot up, and again, I love cameras because they seem to hide so much. It doesn't look terrible. It actually looks on camera like there's a bad spot right here by my tip. There is nothing there. Standing here in person, that is just the most even corner, no polish changes. To me, that's as good as it gets. So that's what I'm talking about. Your eye will see things different depending on the light. It might look like a dent, and there's not a dent there. I actually was working on this spot right in here. Now to you, it's a little darker. So I'm just gonna move the camera a little bit and see if I can get that to shine for you and show you what I'm talking about. Gonna be difficult, folks. Maybe right there you can see it. All right. So what I've got there, and you don't quite see what I'm talking about, believe me. You're seeing a couple dull spots. And truthfully, they're not really dull spots so much as it's overshine on this top area in here because I broke that oxide layer. This here to me looks like chrome. I mean, it is just perfectly chrome. This down here looks like a brushed aluminum to me. So again, I can't show you these fine details. I can even see some light sanding scratches in this area you can't see. Let me see if I can turn you a little bit because I know guys want to know about this. So there's a spot maybe. Yeah. Now you're starting to see my dents I left. They're starting to reflect differently. This spot here is my blending area, which just looks to you like a non-shiny spot because of the light. Let me get you on a little angle. And it's all about looking at a different angle all the time. There's another angle. And you'll do this while you're polishing it to see what the finished product's going to look like. There, that's probably the worst view I can get for you. You could definitely see my hammer marks in here, but you see how the shine fades out right in this area? That's pretty normal, and then it gets bright again up there. That's mostly just the shine in the camera and shadowing, just like my hand at the bottom. But believe me, this is not as shiny as you think it is. Definitely a dull spot right here on camera. And truthfully, standing here, that dull spot you're seeing is the shiniest spot I've got right there. So you're kind of seeing it backwards. That's how cameras seem to work. I'll just describe the rest of it in case you can't see. But up on this edge farther down, right here on the face, a place I never worked on it. I didn't sand on it. I didn't do anything down here. I have one of them exceptionally shiny spots that I don't like. I wanted that kind of dullish brush finish. So the point to this is, if you didn't do any work on your surround and it's old, if you should just polish this whole thing all the way around, you're going to end up with these super shinies and these dull spots. Unless you take the 2 to 3 days that it would take to hand sand all this with 400, all the way around the whole thing, every groove, every spot on top and on the low spots, 400, 600, 800, at least 800, maybe 1,000, but I'd go 800. And when you're sanding, you're going to think this is going to take forever. As soon as you break through that oxide layer, it'll drag your sandpaper. You'll start feeling it dig more. That's when you're done with 400. You keep going around. When you get to your 600, it's not as much work. The most work is that first round of 400 getting that oxide off. Then you go down the whole thing with your 6 and 8, come back and polish it, and you'll have a gleaming grill surround, except for the dents, dings, and scratches. So do what you think's best. I'm going for that mediocre look. Those super shiny spots that you kind of wish everything looked that way, trust me, it's aluminum. It'll dull down the first year. Year 2 through 10, it's going to have this original kind of look again, where it's shiny aluminum, but not have that chrome look. I think I've talked enough about that. Just run your polisher on there until you're sick and tired of it, and then run it on there some more until you're sick and tired of it. Leave it, come back another day and polish on it until you say, I'm done. And you know what will happen then? It'll be fine. Okay, wrapping things up for this week, folks. The surround, we got the dents mostly out. We got the shape back where I wanted it. Now I'm going to I'll probably spend 2 to 3 hours on this. Just that way I know I'm happy I'm done. Get it polished up pretty good. I am going to paint those surrounds. I'll bring it, excuse me. I'll bring you back for that when I do it, just because it's a different kind of painting. The prep work I'll probably do first, and then I'll bring you back for that little touch-up spray job. Then you'll get a better look at this after I polish it. So there's two things there. We got that going pretty good this week. We got this put together pretty good this week. I got some special primer coming in the next day or two. So this will be our next focus. Remember, I'm staying on these two till I get them finished or farther along so we can work on something else. But focusing on the 68 bed project and the grill surround until we get that accomplished. Then we'll keep rolling on that stuff. Got that done. Got our polisher put on the stand. That worked out great. The stand was extended, all painted. I haven't given you a tip of the week yet. I'll do that before I hang up. Like I'm talking on the phone. Before I'm done, we got our sanders all on our portable table. Got that done this week. It's been a good week. Some weeks I do more than others. I'm pretty happy. This is intensive work. Grill and tap. A lot of time on that. So I'm pretty good with that. Let me show you my tip of the week because it dealt with this stand that had that sticker on there. Now you can make fun of the Chinese all you want. They do. They make everything. Let's just be honest. And a lot of it's junk. I'm told a lot of it's because it's cost and balances and all that. I don't care. But I'll tell you one thing they make really good overseas, them stickers. They found a way to make a paper sticker that ain't worth a crap, but it's got adhesive that you just can't hardly do anything with. I'm impressed and I'm irritated at the same time, but it'll be fine. So let me show you my particular trick of taking, I just said it, stickers off. Now I know there's no sticker on here, but if you can pretend for me, would you? If we had a sticker on here, I don't know, price tag or something on the back we didn't like, or on this surface we didn't like, we want it clean. Darn sticker in there. Well, the first thing you do is you take your nail and you try and rip it off and you get them pieces of paper strips. You've seen it. Or you just can't get the whole thing off. So I don't want to scratch the surface. That's the problem. You can't sand it off. I mean, what are you going to do with it? I wish they made a plastic razor blade. Well, they do, but I ain't buying them. Too cheap. I do buy some Goo Gone, so I tend to soak the sticker with Goo Gone. But here's my real trick. You guys seen these? You get a pack of these of like, I don't know, there's 10 to a pack for $2 or something. They're cheap. It is a body filler spreader, knife, whatever you want to call it. And they're dirt cheap. But the reason I like them is they're this flexible plastic, but I mean, they're still hard. And when they form them, the back is perfectly flat. And by doing that, there's kind of a sharp plastic edge all the way around this. So you have a soft, sharpish edge here. And as you go to the sides, the back of this is thicker. So on the back side, you've got a lot more, it's flexible so you can get around corners. A lot more rigidity, me trying to say fancy words, and that sharpish edge. And you can take this, run it backwards on that sticker, and that sharp edge will not scratch your paint, but it'll stay right on the surface and just dig its way around that glue, and you can get that sticker off. That's been my trick for stickers. If you're a weirdo like me and want the stickers off. All right, that's it. I'm done for the week. That's all. I got nothing else. Well, I got plenty else, but that's all for this week. Thanks for coming along. I appreciate you. Like, subscribe if you don't mind, but watch time's probably the most important thing. So thank you for coming and watching. If you stayed to the end, you're one of my best viewers. Thank you very much. And to you guys, I appreciate you. Have a good week. We'll see you next Sunday. All right, I got to go.